Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Rancho Mirage City Council for Thursday, November 21st. City Council will also be acting as the Library Board, the Housing Authority Board. The City Council will also represent the successor agency. And so at this time, would you please stand for our flag salute led by Ted Weil, Councilman.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Cindy, would you call roll, please?
Councilmember Hines is absent. Councilmember Hobart?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Smotrich? Here. Councilmember Weil?
Here.
And Mayor Kite?
Here. Thank you, Cindy. It gives me a great deal of pleasure today to welcome our Assemblyman to our City Council chambers. Brian Estandi is here today to present us with a proclamation. Brian, would you like to come forward?
Thank you. And I'm here on behalf of the State Assembly to present a resolution to the City of Rancho Mirage. I'm sorry, a little bit, is that better? To present a resolution to the City of Rancho Mirage from the State Assembly to congratulate you on 40 wonderful years here in the desert. And just to say what a great city. It really is, has tremendous history, very professionally run. The council does a great job. Your professional staff does a wonderful job. And I represent a number of cities in my assembly district. And I got to say, I never hear from you guys because you don't need anything. It's just like I say, very well-run city, very professional, and an economic engine. And probably the state, we probably take more from you than you would like. But I was just finishing a bill to reconstruct redevelopment agencies. I hope that's good with you. Yeah, I'm kidding. Anyways, thank you for allowing me to be here today. Congratulations once again, Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure to present you with this resolution from the State Assembly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And this is our 40th anniversary. We're really excited about it. We've had a lot of really great events this year. But this year has brought about a presidential visit to Sunnylands. It's brought the opening of the new high school. We're excited about the work we're doing on our park. And hopefully we're not too many months away from opening the Ritz Hotel. So it's been a great year so far. Look forward to more in the future. And we want to thank you for being here and the best of luck in the future to you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, moving on with the agenda, I'll call on Councilman Ted Weil for an introduction. Ted?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Sandra Schultz. Sandra, you can start walking if you don't mind. Sandra is president of the Eisenhower Medical Center Auxiliary. She's a 17-year resident. She's a dedicated soul who considers her public service as a job. She had a 20-year career before entering public service as a software engineer, and she claims she's not a lifelong figure skater, but has taken that up recently, and that's why she's located in the desert with all of our ice here.
Thank goodness.
So, Sandra, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Kite and council members. I really appreciate you having me. Is this working? I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about the auxiliary. The auxiliary's been around for a long time, too. We're going to be celebrating our 44th anniversary of supporting Eisenhower. As some of you may or may not know, the auxiliary actually was born in the living room of Dolores Hope more than 44 years ago. And the purpose was to establish a working organization to assist the medical center and to provide assistance to patients in the hospital. Our volunteers have contributed more than 4 million service hours during the history of Eisenhower. Today, our auxiliary has more than 800 members. Most of them are volunteers, adult and junior volunteers. And of course, they're distinguished. If you've been in the hospital, you know they have our red, white, and blue uniforms. Every year, our volunteers donate more than 100,000 service hours to Eisenhower. We're very proud of them. They serve in departments both at the main campus and at 10 different outpatient health centers across the valley. I am very proud to say that since its inception, the auxiliary has donated more than $22 million to the medical center. Our volunteers are very much play a role in the reputation that Eisenhower has for patient care. They're everywhere. If you've been there, you know they're everywhere helping wherever they can. We have 40 different programs and locations for volunteers. They can also work in the gift shop. They can work in Collector's Corner. They run errands. They deliver flowers. There's an opportunity at Eisenhower to serve for anybody that would like to. And I would very much like to mention, if anyone is interested in volunteering, they can go to EMC, that's EMC.org, or they can call 760-773-1304 if they want to find out more about how to help and how to be a volunteer.
What was that telephone number?
760-773-1304. And I mentioned Collector's Corner is one of the auxiliary sources of income. It's a very important one. It's also located in Rancho Mirage, as almost everything else related to Eisenhower is. Rancho Mirage is our home. And it's a treasure trove of high-quality donated items from hand-blown glass, framed paintings and clothes, furniture, china, appliances, using almost every inch of its 15,000-square-foot building. It is unusually clean, well-organized, and very, very welcoming. The staff is just excellent. We couldn't be happier. They play a major role, and they actually are responsible for a large portion of the $22 million that the auxiliary has been able to donate to the medical center. So we encourage everyone to come. It's a great place to do Christmas shopping. Lastly, I must tell you, we have an upcoming event, December 7th, also in Rancho Mirage. It's our annual gala, yet another source of funding for the auxiliary. All of the proceeds go to the medical center. And this year, we have a fabulous cause, which is an example of what Eisenhower Medical Center is. This year, our cause is handheld, state-of-the-art ultrasound devices that are going to be provided to our new class of physician residents as part of our teaching hospital. And this is a historic year for Eisenhower, as many of you probably already know. We've had our first class of residents arrived in July, and we couldn't be prouder of them or the fact that Eisenhower continues to evolve to serve the community. So we hope you can make it. If anybody's interested, I left a stack of invitations with Miss Scott. And I hope you all can join us, and I thank you again for giving me this opportunity. It was very good of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. We appreciate you coming. Okay, we'll now move on to non-agenda public comments. If there's anybody in the audience who has an item to speak on that's not on the agenda for today, if you would raise your hand and be recognized and come forward. Looks like we have no non-agenda public items, so we'll move on to council comments and begin with Iris.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. Last month, The council approved the concept and purchase of hardware to provide captioning services for the hearing impaired to access city council meetings. While staff is working to fully integrate the systems, I am pleased to say that our December 5th meeting will have the first phase of real-time captioning demonstrated. We will have in our audience the web-enabled devices available for guests to observe and read the captioning text on the device as council conducts its business. Also, the council members will have devices at the dais to observe the captioning activity. The next phase of this important project will involve our systems being upgraded to add captioning to the city's website, Rancho Mirage television broadcast, and DVDs. So for all of you that are not familiar with the closed captioning systems that are now available, they come in kind of a couple different phases. So next time we're going to be introducing the first phase. The next time in January, we will be introducing the second phase, and that is when we are going to have the actual captioning be available and appearing at the base of our picture. And that picture is going to appear in our City Council chamber here behind me, but it will also be on our televisions on Channel 17 if you live in Rancho Mirage, or Channel 125 if you view that by digital. Real time, for those that are not familiar, means that when we are speaking, our voices are being transmitted to an outside location. Someone at that location is typing in what we are saying, and then it will be appearing almost simultaneously at the picture. Very often you will see closed captioning. For instance, if you go to a restaurant or a sports bar, you will see a lot of closed captioning, but it appears in a delayed form. This is not what we are going to be having. We will have it in real time, and it will be available for all those people who really are helped out by the assistance of some closed captioning. For all people who can't hear as well as they would like, we certainly have earphones available both at City Hall and at the library. All you have to do at City Hall here is go to the front desk, and a hearing device will be provided for you. So if you are a little hard of hearing, don't hesitate to help yourself to our front desk. The gals are really friendly, and they'll be glad to help you get a hearing device, and it'll make hearing us a whole lot easier. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Iris. Dana, do you have a comment?
Yes, two actually, Mr. Mayor. The first has to do with the meeting held on November 14th by the American Public Works Association. They have a ceremony in which they announced the 2013 Project of Merit Awards. The City of Rancho Mirage's citywide residential utility undergrounding project received the 2013 Project of Merit Award in the revitalization category. This was a project that increased property values throughout the city while significantly improving the quality of life in Rancho Mirage. This is the third award the city's Public Works Department has received for a public works project from the association. In 2003, the City Council authorized $30 million in city and redevelopment agency funds to rid the city's skyline of overhead electrical distribution, telephone, and cable television lines, and, of course, to remove the unsightly utility poles that stood like barren spikes throughout much of the city. I would like our Public Works Director, Bruce Harry, to give us all a few more details about our achievement and the getting of this fine award.
Thank you, Councilman. Each year, as the councilman member, the Coachella Valley branch of the Southern California chapter of American Public Works Association recognizes agencies and its local members for their outstanding public works projects or programs that benefit the community and demonstrate the qualities of the public works profession. In keeping with this tradition, the city's citywide residential utility undergrounding project was recognized by the local APWA branch last Thursday night with this 2013 Project Merit Award. The city manager, Randy Binder, and many of the Public Works staff were in attendance to share in this presentation. I'd like to mention a few details about the project. The project improved 1,300 properties in the city and was constructed in 3 phases in order to better manage the project and minimize disruptions to our residents and businesses. The project design commenced back in 2003. The first construction phase commenced in August of 2004, and the final phase was just recently completed in April of this year. The total project cost ended up at $25.2 million, which equates to $19,000 per property. I wanted to recognize Randy Villegas, who's in our audience today, who's the city's project manager for this project. Randy's assignment that I gave him was to take this project, so to speak, from cradle to grave. This was one of the most difficult projects the city has undertaken in many years, and Randy, along with several of my staff, were able to make this project a reality and deliver this project to our residents and businesses with little to no disruptions and under contract budget. Thank you for allowing me to share this award with City Council, staff, and the residents of Rancho Mirage. And Randy, could you please stand so people can recognize you? Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Dana, are you done?
I'm halfway done.
Okay.
I'd like to remind everyone that this Saturday and Sunday, November 23 and 24, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Whitewater Park, Loving All Animals will hold their Super Pet Adoption event. At this event at Whitewater, there will be over 25 regional rescue agencies bringing dogs and cats for everybody to look at and hopefully take home. There will be music, there will be food, there will be all kinds of vendors available to make this a very uplifting and fun, enjoyable event for every member of the family. On Sunday, the next day, second day, the public is invited to bring their pets for a blessing of the animals. My pets wouldn't benefit from that, but yours will. Janet McAfee of Loving All Animals is here to tell us more about the event and introduce us to one of the stars of the event. Who is that going to be, Janet?
Janet's not here. My name is Lynn. This is Zoe. And Zoe's a mom and a doctor. Is here. You want to have this, Zoe? We have, is this a good...
Hang on a second. I'll bring this microphone down here for you. Make it easy.
We love Mr. Hobart. He adopts from us. We have 35 animal welfare groups this year with 500, yes, 500 available animals up for adoption. Zoe happens to be a Maltese. We have a Maltese rescue coming. She did not look like this when we found her, but she's an example of the wonderful dogs that are at our shelters that need homes. Boy, they clean up good. So her mom got real lucky because we just adore Zoe, and she is a perfect adoption. Please come out and support us. The music is fabulous. The vendors have every kind of food, from the meat people to the vegetarian choices. We have dog agility demonstrations. We have the Blessing of the Animals Sunday at about noon. Come early. If you don't want to adopt, that's okay. Come out to support us. It's a $5 admission. Children, of course, 12 and under are free. There is so much to do and see. Just come. And if you happen to adopt, well, we wouldn't care at all. So thank you to the city for allowing us to do this. This is our 5th adoption fair, and we love being at Whitewater. So thank you, Rancho Mirage. Mayor Kite will be there on Saturday. Mayor Kite will be there.
Mayor Kite will be there on Saturday.
That's correct. That's right.
She mentioned the fact that I have adopted at least one of their animals. Janet McAfee brought a little white dog, something similar to this one, and asked my wife and me if we would foster the child, this baby. So we said, sure. She left. The next day, we started to take our dog to get it shampoo and get it all cleaned up so we could take it around to people like all of you. And the dog went into like an epileptic seizure and was unconscious for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We flew her quickly over to the vet. The vet, by then she was coming out of it. The vet said it didn't require medication. It wasn't that kind of a seizure. And so we brought her home. Then, of course, we dealt with the problem, how do you foster a dog that's had a seizure? You have to tell people, full disclosure, and we knew that nobody would take the dog. Well, as it turned out, the dog was kidding all the time. It was an act. The dog never had another seizure, liked our yard, liked our other two dogs, and decided, hey, I know how to do this. And she pulled a seizure on us. So I got to say, you've got some great animals at loving all the...
Yes, we train them very well.
And let me remind everyone that residents of Rancho Mirage will have up to $100 of the cost of adopting any dog or cat on Saturday or Sunday, and no matter who they adopt it from, as long as they're our residents, and be sure to remind them that they can get reimbursed at City Hall.
We will, and thank you for that offer. That is an incentive for a lot of people. Our county shelters and city shelters are kill shelters. This is not a rescue thing. They are euthanizing animals, and we want you to adopt from them, and sometimes you just need that little bit of financial help. So again, thank you to the city for allowing the residents of Rancho Mirage show your proof of residency, a power bill, your driver's license, and that will verify it, and we thank you very much for that.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for coming, and good luck with the event.
See you on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, Dana, do you have anything else? Okay. Ted, you're up.
I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And it's a time to spend with family and friends, which is the true meaning of wealth. And how fortunate we are to have food, water, and electricity, which we take for granted here. I want to thank our military that are away from their families, who fight our country and allow us to sleep. And of course, law enforcement that are present here, our wonderful fire department, and we thank you and wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for all the time we spend, not always productive, however, on our computers, iPads, and iPhones, which reminds me, when I sat down here, my grandson just texted me. Fortunately, it wasn't on Facebook or Twitter, which I've never been on. And I thank us for living in a wonderful city of Rancho Mirage that provides us good, clean streets to drive on, safety and a low crime rate, unobstructed beauty by undergrounding our utilities that Councilman Hobart was extremely involved with. And I thank Bruce Harry and Randy for the work you did. We have incredible educational facilities such as the new high school and the Helene Galen Performing Arts Auditorium, and a city that is financially strong and operated on sound fiscal values. I want to thank our many volunteers that give their time to our hospitals and schools, and our city commissioners that contribute at every level, and a staff that makes our job so much easier. I want to leave you with a poem that I read the other night that I like very much. And it goes like this: for each morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends, for everything that goodness sends. And with that, I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ted. Same to you. One of Rancho Mirage's premier events that we have each year is the Art Affair, which was held on November 9th and 10th, and it was the 13th annual Art Affair. The weather was beautiful, and the crowd was one of the largest in the event's history. Over 85 visual artists participated in close to 100 booths spread across the lawn of Whitewater Park. From fine gourds to all sorts of crafts to intricate woodworking, the show offered our guests every opportunity to complete their holiday shopping. Painters were well represented with a variety of price points and styles to satisfy every taste and interest in fine art. The artists benefited from the improving economy and high attendance. Sales were brisk for most. Numerous prizes were awarded, but none more close to my heart than the Mayor's Choice, seen here on the left of this slide. The music program packed them in for some of the best received sets in the history of the art affair. What could be better than a beautiful day in the park with music and art, fine food to enjoy? Rancho Mirage can be very proud of our Park and Recreation Commission, our staff, which worked for months to make this event happen, and for them, we all are most grateful. The team's dedication, hard work, and as you can tell, great sense of style combined to make our signature event, Art Affair, an annual experience never to miss. And we're looking forward to next year's Art Affair at our new, revised, upgraded park. Hopefully the same time next year, but even bigger and better. So thanks to all the staff that were there. Thanks to everybody that came to the event. It was a great success. So next item on the calendar for today is the minutes, but we don't have the minutes to approve. So let's move on to the consent calendar. And the consent calendar is a group of items that can be approved with one blanket motion. And is there any item that the council would like to approve or pull for further discussion? Seeing none, we'll turn it over to our city manager, Randy Binder. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'd like to dedicate the presentation of the consent calendar today to my previous supervisor, Robert Brockman, I see in the audience here today, Community Development Director for the City of Rancho Mirage from 1989 to when he retired in 2006. And he is our consultant for the development impact fee, and I believe it's his last year working on that. And then economic development staff will take over next year. Welcome, Bob. Consent calendar is short for today's meeting, Mr. Mayor. The first item is to waive full reading of the ordinances that are introduced or adopted pursuant to today's agenda. Item number 2 on consent is second reading of the revision to Section 16 of the Municipal Code, Chapter 16, modifying the CFD requirement, so any lot split or larger would be required to join the community facilities districts. Item number 3 on your consent calendar is second reading of the new building code. The new building code would go into effect on January 1st, 2014. And item number 4 on your consent calendar are your contracts and purchase orders. And item number 5 are demands. And we are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from council on the consent calendar? Is there anybody in the audience who has a question on the consent calendar? Okay, none? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
There's a motion. Do I have a second? Second, please vote. Okay, we have motion carrying 4-0 with 1 absent. We'll now move on to the public hearings for the day. Begin with item number 6, which is an extension of time on a preliminary development plan. And Randy, who's going to take care of this?
Mr. Mayor, Josh Altop, our Associate Planner, will handle this item.
Okay. Welcome, Josh.
Welcome. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council members. This is a request. Thank you. For preliminary development plan, PDP case number 13002. Just going to go over some of the slides we went through last year. It is a time extension on a previously approved project, but I want to get council familiar with everything one more time. This is an aerial of the project site. It's located just south of Dinosaur Drive on Via Vale, just behind Desert Ridge Plaza. We have commercial zone property with Victory Christian Church to the south, Sam's Site Shop to the west, Desert Ridge Plaza to the north. These are some pictures of the existing site. That house has since been demolished after the approval last year. Here is the dimension site plan. It is the development standards of the general commercial zone. Within the site, it's proposed to have a total of 8 buildings consisting of 2 guest suites, a caretaker's residence, fitness center, 4 fourplex hotel rooms, and the main house. It does meet our lot coverage and exceed. All setbacks are met or exceeded, and the project site will be accessed by 2 driveways taking access from Via Vale. Here's a colored site plan with landscaping. It kind of emboldens things and gives a better sampling of what this project will look like upon completion. I'm just going to go over a couple of the buildings to highlight. This is the main house floor plan. It's approximately 3,600 square feet, and it's designed to provide the food services for the hotel patrons and hold the nightly, and I script this word every time, I apologize, Al-Anon meetings. Here are some elevations. You can see some of the material, the architectural cupola, the low E-glass window with the eyebrows. The height of this building will be a little over 26 feet and does comply with our codes. Here's a sampling of the fourplexes. Each room will consist of approximately 500 square feet, have the main bedroom, a bathroom, full bath, kitchen, and closet, and then each each hotel room will have a private patio of approximately 111 square feet. Here are some elevations for those rooms. We can get a sampling. Low level at 14 feet high, glass doors, floor to ceiling, nice architectural walls and design. Here are some of the sampling materials. These are very upgraded, high-quality materials. They'll have the retractable windows, as we see in many of our homes, desert tone and stucco colors, some of the upgraded tiling and fountains. Here's some of the flat work and the stone that'll be used, along with some of the wall sconces and lighting. I'm going to show you a couple of perspectives just to get you a view. This is looking towards the northwest, coming down Via Vale, heading back towards Bob Hope. You can see the entry there with the main house towards the left. Here is a perspective from the back of the main house looking out towards the pool and the common areas. Here's several samples of some of the details that we'll find with the stonework, the covered parking, the trellis work that's out by the pool area, and some of the fountains. This is the proposed landscape plan, has a very lush landscape proposal. The idea is to provide much privacy for the residents who will be here during their times. We see samples of 36-inch box olive, 12-foot high Washingtonias. We have a desert palette with various mesquites and Aleppo pines. The pool area is where most of the congregation will occur. It has such features as trellis, multiple fountains, a uniquely shaped pool with the attached spa, multiple fire features, and then an outdoor dining area behind the main house. As part of this is a hotel. Residents there will be charged a discounted rate because it's for a nonprofit, but they will be charged approximately these nightly rates. The city estimates, based upon an 80% occupancy, of approximately $60,000 in annual TOT.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if we need a complete, full report. Motion before us is merely to extend the situation, and I don't know if we should have to.
I think Josh is almost done.
I'll tell you what, I actually am done. That was my last slide. I'm done. The applicant's in the audience, and I'll go ahead and shut up.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay. Would you like to come forward?
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Brian Buchanan, spokesperson for the Family House Inn. And are there questions?
You just want an extension, is that right?
Correct. Hazelton Corporation.
We've already approved it once.
Correct. Thank
Okay.
you. Hazelton Corporation, just briefly, and Betty Ford have merged. And because of this, Mr. Quayle went from a private corporation, family funded, to a nonprofit. And he's waiting now just for the number from the IRS.
Right.
And everything then will go forward.
Well, in my 11 years on the council, we've never not approved a request for an extension. Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the requested extension.
The public hearing for just a second.
Nobody wanted to
Okay.
speak.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And Dana, would you like to make the motion?
I move that we grant the extension as set forth in the request in the staff report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion carries 4-0 with one absent. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that.
And the new expiration date would be October 18th, 2014.
Okay, we'll now move on to the next public hearing, which is item number 7, and this pertains to the 2013 Development Impact Fee Update. And Josh, are you going to handle this also? Okay, thank you.
Promise I'll keep it short.
Okay.
Please.
Go ahead.
Every so often, the city has to update their development impact fees to make sure they are compliant with current trends, current needs of the city, and to make sure that the funds can overall meet the overall program costs. Short background, we'll keep it brief. It's the city went to this particular choice back in 2004 when the city transitioned from a licensed tax fee. We did updates in 2005 and 2007, which is the most current fee. We did propose updates in 2009 and 2010. However, the council considered the economy and felt it wasn't appropriate to adjust the fees at that time. Staff analyzed the fact that the economy has improved, there has been increased building activity, and the city has had physical changes to its boundaries. It was determined that now is the time to go ahead and move forward with the fees. The current report presents the latest land use and development data of public facilities needed and the impact for each. The update itself is affected by many different variables, but the most prevalent being the adoption of the Section 19 specific plan and the Section 13 annexation. Both of these projects increase the ability for the city to expand its residential dwelling units and its overall commercial square footage. The report itself changed in several ways. It was the potential development, which I just covered, is going to increase. The list of public facilities has evolved because of those increases, and then the changes in the cost of construction over time. This is a comparison between our 2007 fee and our proposed 2013 fee. The existing fees, both for residential, which is based on a per dwelling unit standard, and our commercial fees, which are based on per 1,000 square feet, are actually gone down, and that's due to those situations we just talked about. It's basically you take the pot of money and you spread it out over a larger portion, so now it gets diluted, and then the overall costs come down. So our difference is on our Hillside Reserve as high as a little over $3,600 per unit, down to the hospital and resort hotel, which is the lowest at about $200 to $400 per 1,000 square feet. Staff did meet with the council subcommittee. In 2004, council expressed concerns that the new fees charged to commercial projects were higher than other valley cities and that it may hurt potential commercial development. At that time, council decided to charge commercial development 1/3 of the impact fee, and that's currently what we've done through today with our current fees. When staff met with the subcommittee to discuss the updated fees, the same concern was brought up in that the desire was still there to promote commercial growth. Staff presented various options to the council subcommittee, and the final recommendation to staff was to charge 50% of the impact for commercial development. So this table here will show you the 2007 and unadjusted fees. The 2007 fees at 33%, so we can see this is what we currently charge commercial development at 1,000 square feet. And then you have the 2013 fees at the discounted rate, and the final column to the right shows the difference. So the approximate change between the fees charged today and the fees charged if this were to pass at 50% is between $400 to $500 per 1,000 square feet. Very comparable. Still lower than what we could charge, but still a very doable amount for a lot of development. Just a couple quick additional factors. As part of this Mitigation Fee Act requires that we do an annual report, which we've attached for council. It's supposed to describe where the project's been and the money spent. Just some quick numbers. Since the inception of the program in 2004, the city's collected a little over $5 million, $650,000 or so in interest. $2.4 million has been spent on projects within the program, and there's a current balance of $3.25 million. This separate report has been attached for council's review and consideration. No action is necessary but to receive and file. It's on page 7-95 through 7-101. And then as part of this project, we always like to meet with the local builders to make sure their interests and their concerns are addressed, in which we did meet with the Desert Valley Builders Association. They reviewed our draft, and they have provided a letter of support, which is attachment number 3, page 794. Once council does adopt these fees, they will become effective 60 days from that date through the attached resolution. The attached resolution does reflect the 50% mark, so if that number needs to be adjusted, we need to adjust those fees accordingly. I do have our consultant, Bob Brockman, in the audience, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Josh. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And any comments or questions from council?
A couple of questions, if I may.
Yes,
Josh. Josh, take a look at page 7-3. Under number 2, the second bullet down, it said that, says the following facilities were added to the 2013 study report. Street widening on Ramon Road, north side from the railroad bridge at I-10 interchange to Rattler Road. At Rattler Road, what happens there? Does it become wider at Rattler Road than it is when back to the east?
Correct. Yeah, the city received a grant a few years ago to do the safe routes to school, and we did the project to where we widened the corner of Duval and Ramon, the northeast corner, that 40-acre piece with the high school, and the whole improvements got put in at that time. So the street got widened to its ultimate right-of-way, the sidewalks got put in, but it was only from Duval and Ramon out to Rattler and Ramon, and from Rattler Road east back towards the casino, it hasn't been improved yet. So that's that section we're talking about.
Well, thank you. With respect to the next one, regarding those traffic signals, about 8 of them, are those all brand new signals that we're putting in at locations, or are some of them remodels of those that are already existing?
Majority of these come from the needs with the Section 19, with the improvements, with the commercial improvements. These are all new interchanges along Bob Hope and along Dinah Shore.
Okay. Have any developers submitted any opposition to any of our prospective fees?
No, I haven't received any.
Great, thank you, good job. And I'd like to thank Bob Brockman for also, he's done this for a few years, and it's always very helpful and very clear, Bob. It's nice to see you back here, and give our best to Kathy.
Okay, Iris, did you have a question? No. Okay. Ted, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve?
I will move that the city adopt the attached resolution which updates the development impact fees, and number 2, that the city council receive and file the development impact fee study fiscal year 2004 to 2013.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, please vote. The motion carries 4-0 with 1 absent. We'll now move on to the action calendar, and item number 8 is the consideration of a property improvement program amendment. And Dana, are you handling this?
Yes, I am. As you can see, I prepared what is referred to as a staff report, euphemistically, but nonetheless. I won't go through this. I'll just do a quick summary and say that at the last meeting, there was some potential or possible confusion about what our property improvement program guidelines were. The program started in 2009, I believe, and as of the 2013 amendment, it was virtually the same as the 2009 program with some additional things added. The program has always been a program intended for improving the outside appearance, the facades of businesses along Highway 111. The obvious purpose of that is this is the most important corridor east-west for the entire valley. And when people travel through Highway 111 through Rancho Mirage, it's been our objective and goal to see to it that we do what we can to motivate business proprietors to keep their exteriors modern and attractive. Our program has been to make money available on a 2080 grant perspective, and it's been used for that. It's never, ever been used for interior decoration of anything, restaurants or otherwise. And since there was somebody making an application 2 weeks ago for a grant, it was argued that there was some ambiguity in the program. So what I've tried to do is to simply make an amendment, a one-word amendment, that will clarify for those who, upon reading it, don't see it, as clearly as it appears to me to be, and that would be on page 1 in the 4th paragraph. I think it's page 1. Yeah, yes, page 1, the 4th paragraph. I'm proposing that we insert the word exterior after the word approved and before the word improvements. And if the motion is passed, the paragraph will read, assistance through the program is only available for qualifying approved exterior improvements that are started and completed after issuance of the city's written authorization to proceed. Just the one word exterior improvements. Exterior is the one word that's been added, nothing else. And this is just to clarify the PIP program that staff indicated in the last staff report 2 weeks ago, that it was only intended to be for external facade use. And but since we didn't have the word exterior only, we're putting that in.
Okay, and this pertains specifically to the property improvement program.
Right, and we have a 6-page outline of guidelines and that sort of thing, and it's just that one change will make it clear to anybody that doesn't read it thoroughly.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to discuss this item? Seeing none. Council, any questions, comments?
No, I'd like to make a comment that since the last meeting and based upon the correspondence that I've received, I believe that clarifying this ambiguity will answer a lot of questions that residents had, and it will be well received and from this point forward, express clarity.
Okay, thank you. Can we have a motion, please, on this item?
You want to have public, did we do public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Surely, I would move, Mr. Mayor, that at the 4th paragraph on page 1 of the PIP guidelines and application, that we insert the word exterior after the word approved and before the word improvements, so that the paragraph, if passed, will read, assistance through the program is only available for qualifying approved exterior improvements that are started and completed after issuance of the city's written authorization to proceed.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0 with one absent. We'll now move on to item number 9, which is the consideration of a purchase and sale agreement between the city and Paragon Commercial Group for the city-owned property in the Rancho Las Palmas Shopping Center. And Sean Smith, our housing manager and member of the Economic Development Department, will do this presentation. Sean?
Thank you, Mayor Kite. Good afternoon. This item is a request for consideration of a purchase and sale agreement between the city and Paragon Commercial Group for the city-owned property at the corner of Highway 111 and Bob Hope in the Rancho Las Palmas Shopping Center. Paragon is a company based in El Segundo with significant experience in commercial development, both with new construction as well as the redevelopment of grocery-anchored shopping centers. Paragon is currently in the process of purchasing the Rancho Las Palmas Shopping Center from Wells Fargo, with escrow scheduled to close at the end of December. A critical step towards the redevelopment of the center by Paragon is gaining control of the property that the city owns in order to construct a new CVS at that location. Based on council direction at its October 17th meeting, the city executed a purchase offer by Paragon. That offer directed both parties to work towards entering into a purchase and sale agreement by no later than November 21st. The draft purchase and sale agreement takes into consideration the following: acknowledgement that Paragon intends to acquire the property for the purpose of constructing a new 24-hour drive-through CVS. Acknowledgement that the project requires the city, in its capacity as a land use regulator, to process certain land use entitlements associated with the project. That Paragon will seek approval for potential traffic signalization and ingress modifications to the property. a purchase price of $1 million, which was established based on several sources, including an appraisal and opinions of value submitted by local commercial real estate brokers. And the Paragon will receive a dollar-for-dollar credit against that purchase price for any public improvements that they construct as part of their project. The agreement also includes a reversion clause whereby if construction of the new CVS does not commence within 18 months of approval of necessary building permits, the property may revert back to the city at the city's discretion. With the support of a subcommittee consisting of Mayor Kite and Councilmember Weil, it is recommended that the council approve the attached purchase and sale agreement. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and Paragon's principal, Irwin Busey, is here as well.
Thank you, Sean. Are there any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody in the audience who would like to comment or question on this item? Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and council members. I just want to say I'm very excited about the opportunity to work on this shopping center. It's an asset that we've been looking at for approximately 2 years. The center is on a very dynamic intersection, and we have some great thoughts and ideas about really bringing this to a great community asset that will be embraced by the community. I appreciate everybody's support, and we look forward to presenting a quality project in the future.
Okay, thank you. Name and address for the file.
Sure. Irwin Busey, 133 Penn Street, El Segundo, California, 90245.
Okay, Irwin, thanks for being here today. This is really exciting for our city. It's a great opportunity. We've all been working on this project for years.
Yes.
And it's nice to see you here, and hopefully the progress on this project will move ahead, and everybody in Rancho Mirage will love what they're going to see in the future.
I want that too, so I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this project? Okay, council, we need a motion.
I'd like to make a comment.
I'd just like to thank first Sean and you, Richard, and Ted for all the work that you guys have added to this to get us to this point. The people in Rancho Las Palmas will send you flowers every day for the rest of the decade.
We're looking forward to it.
That'll be well received. I'd merely like to say that it's been a pleasure working with Irwin Busey and Brian Tracy, who's here also, who's handling the leasing of the property. As the mayor said, it's extremely important to our city. It's one of the windows of our city, and we're optimistic that the escrow will close by the end of the year, and the ultimate development will be something that we all will be extremely proud of. It's going to be very dramatic, and it will have the appearance of a totally new center. We've been privy to some of the diagrams as to what it will look like, and I can assure you, you'll be extremely pleased. And gentlemen, again, thanks for your effort.
Okay, thank you, Ted. Thanks for all your work you put on this project, too. It's because of Ted's leadership that we are where we are today. So at this point, Ted, would you like to make a motion to approve this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that that the council give consideration of the purchase and sale agreement between the city and Paragon Commercial Group for the city-owned property in the Rancho Las Palmas Shopping Center.
By consideration, you mean approve?
Yes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion carries 4-0 with one absent. And good luck to you both. Hope to see you back at this area again in the future, near term. Okay. Okay, we'll now move on to item number 10, which is the consideration of resolutions pertaining to the April 8th, 2014 general municipal election. And I believe Cindy Scott, our city clerk, will be handling this discussion. Cindy?
Thank you, Mayor. As you may recall, the city had planned for an all-mail ballot in the past, first for the April 20th election and again in April 2012. In 2010, the state had a special primary that we had to participate in, so we couldn't use our all-mail election. And in 2012, there were no challengers to the incumbents, so we had canceled the election and appointed our council members. This type of election works very well for Rancho Mirage, as so many of the city's residents already vote by mail. It also allows advantages because it provides increased convenience to voters by allowing them ample time to consider the ballot, vote in the privacy of their own homes, and drop the ballot in the mail or utilize a drop box. The convenience to the voter may also result in increased voter participation, as well as providing significant cost savings for the city. So if council is ready to adopt these three resolutions, we can again work on our all-mail ballot election.
Okay, and when you say all-mail, you mean all M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E?
No,
right?
M-A-I-L, yes.
Okay. Yes, Dana.
About it, when we've discussed it previously, the information I think you had at the time was that the cost of all by mail ballot and the cost of a regular election was about the same. I notice here that you're indicating that the cost of a city-wide election, the other type, is about $60,000 as compared to the $25,000 to $35,000 that a by mail ballot is going to cost us. What's caused those numbers to change?
I put the $60,000 figure in there because that was about what our last precinct election cost. It is a little bit less now, but not significantly. It's still about $50,000. And the difference is that there are no polls that they have to staff. And
I know why it's cheaper. I was just surprised at that $60,000 figure because for years I thought it was roughly the same. That it was going to cost the same either way to the county.
No, it's not quite.
Okay. Anyway,
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Ted? Iris? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that has a question regarding this item? Okay. Seeing none, can we have a motion, please?
Sure. I'll move that the City Council adopt the three resolutions as outlined below pertaining to the city's general municipal election scheduled for April 8, 2014, and designating it to be conducted as an all-mail ballot election, M-A-I-L.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Councilmember Hobart, could you post your vote? Thank you.
And the motion carries 4-0 with one absent. We will now move on to the last item of the day, which is item number 11, to adopt a resolution next in order approving the city's fiscal budget adjustments for fiscal year 2012-2013. And Isaiah, are you going to handle this?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. The item before you today is the proposed budget adjustments for the general fund, the Citizens Option for Public Safety Fund, the License Tax Fund, the PEG Channel Fund, the Parkland Fund, the Gas Tax Fund, the Measure A Fund, and the Air Pollution Reduction Fund. I'm going to start off with the general fund and spend most of my time discussing that. So if you will turn to page 11-2 in your staff reports. At the very bottom of this page, we provide a summary of the general fund broken out between operating revenues, non-operating revenues, operating expenditures, and non-operating expenditures. And what you'll see is that for the general fund, for the operating portion of the budget, we are proposing several budget adjustments that actually net out to a zero impact. So we're decreasing some expenses and increasing other expenses. The reason that we're doing this is because with the general fund, we budget on an object level. So that's personnel cost, operations and maintenance, and then capital. For the non-operating expenditures, the budget adjustment recommended here is a total of $798,317, and these are capital projects that were funded through the general fund. The good news of this report, I'll get to that, is you'll see also on the bottom of 11-2 is we had a operating surplus of $1,071,375, which is great news for our city. This is the first full year that we've had without a redevelopment agency. So the detail of the budget adjustments that you're going to see for the general fund are going to start up on page 11-4. 11-4 summarizes between the three object levels, and as I mentioned, there's a reduction in salaries and benefits, a reduction in operations and maintenance, and then an increase in department capital, all of which net out to an impact of zero. Continuing on page 11-6, we have the listing of the other funds that require budget adjustments. With these funds, we don't budget at the object level. It's at the total revenue and total expense level. And so 11-6 and 11-7 list those budget adjustments. On page 11-8, we also wanted to provide the council with information on the other funds that didn't require final budget adjustments. So Exhibit A on page 11-8 is a listing of all the funds and what the actuals were for 12-13 and whether that fund had a surplus or a deficit and what the fund balance was as of fiscal year 12-13. There's a few highlights that I would like to point out on this exhibit. The first one is on page 11-9 at the very bottom. It's our fire tax fund. Our fire tax fund pays for our fire services, and typically the city budgets to subsidize that fund via our general fund because typically the revenues don't cover the expenses that it requires for our fire services. However, for 12-13, you can see that that fund had a surplus of $301,000. Continuing on page 11-10 is our library fund. And at the very bottom of that page, you'll see that our library fund actually had a surplus last year for $117,000. On page 11-11, you'll see at the very bottom the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority did have quite a large deficit. This is due to the dissolution of redevelopment agencies. The Housing Authority is no longer receiving the 20% set aside that it used to receive. However, I'd like to point out that you'll see that fund balance as of June 30th, 2013 is just over $13 million. That's a combination of approximately $3 million in cash, and the remainder $10 million is receivables that are due from the former redevelopment agency. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Well, as long as you can come back with good numbers like that every year, you can stay, you can keep your seat over there. Actually, we had budgeted, about $200,000 for surplus at the end of the year?
That's correct.
And we came out a little over $1 million.
Yeah.
That's what we'd like to see. Thank you for the great job. Any questions from Isaiah?
From Isaiah or to Isaiah?
Either.
This is to Isaiah. Isaiah, would you, on 11-3, on the $230,000 or the $300,000, excuse me, more in interest revenue due to investments being called prior to maturity, is that essentially interest that was saved as a result of that? In other words, what specifically makes up that? You have down $300,000 more in interest revenue from a considerable number of investments being called prior to maturity.
Yeah, when our investments are called, what we found is the shape of our portfolio we invested in a lot of callable securities. And typically those callable securities give you a little bit of extra yield because the seller has the option to call it early if interest rates change on him. So when an investment gets called, you get all the accumulated interest right when the investment is called. So it pushes more interest into that period because typically you wouldn't receive the accumulated interest until a later point in time. So when they call the investment, they have to give you the accumulated interest as of that point, which caused our estimate or our projection for interest revenue to be off by about $300,000.
And that's because you were judicious in making sure that the investments were cumulative as opposed to non-cumulative.
Correct.
Thank you.
Sounds pretty high finance there, Ted. Go ahead, Dana.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You said okay already.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Isaiah, with respect to the $300,000 in additional interest coming from called securities, once a security has been called, we no longer receive the interest rate that was being paid on that, and we now take that money. Let's use it as an example. Let's say we had a bond, $100,000 bond, or $1 million bond that was earning 2.5% under some earlier investment schedule. Now we have it called, which means we're forced to sell that back. The 2.5% that we were getting on that, we will not be getting on that in the coming year. And what I'm wondering is, with respect to these called bonds or investments, to what extent do you forecast that will impact us negatively in the next 2 or 3 or 5 years?
Yeah, that's definitely a great point, Councilman. That's absolutely true. It's what we call our interest rate risk. It forces us to reinvest our money at lower rates. So the reason the investment was called is because there's lower rates in the market at that time. So it forced the city to reinvest our money at lower rates. We have been working with our consultant, PFM, to restructure our portfolio and step away from so many callables because it increases your interest rate risk. We will be analyzing the mid-year budget adjustments coming up within a few months for the current fiscal year that we're in. And when we put together the budget estimate for 13-14, it was in conjunction with the consultant, and we believe that is the accurate number at this point. We did plan on the number of calls. Simply, that was part of the reason that we brought the consultant in, was to help us manage the call volume that we were seeing. So our current number did project this amount of calls.
Our current estimates for the 2013-14, 14-15, I should say, already took into consideration the loss of those funds?
Correct. We were planning on a high number of calls just due to the structure of our portfolio.
Okay, so then this shouldn't impact, it's impacting us very positively and happily at the moment, but because of what you've done in projecting the numbers for next fiscal year, you don't see any serious changing around of our situation, our numbers situation for next year.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, is that projection for next year at the lowered interest rate, which we anticipate reinvesting our funds? I assume that's the case.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yes. When we projected the interest income for fiscal year 13-14 and 14-15, at the time we took a look at the portfolio and calculated in how many calls we were projecting and what the reinvestment rate would be.
Right. Thank you.
So really, when you figured what you anticipated for this year, you were on the low side. So you knew these bonds were going to be called in, but when you estimated what the figure was going to be, you were lower than what actually came about.
Correct.
Okay. So we're good on the reinvestment of those funds.
Yes.
Okay. Iris, did you have a question? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to ask a question on this item? Seeing none, can we have a motion, please?
The attached resolution amending the fiscal year 2012 to 2013 budget.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0 with one absent. And Isaiah, that extra $1 million that surplus will now go into our unrestricted pool? General fund, unrestricted general fund.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's the last regular item on the agenda for today. We will now move into closed session, and I'll have our attorney, Steve Quintanilla, discuss those items for the closed session. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council and the Housing Authority Board is going to recess into closed session to confer with this real property negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 regarding property located at 42520 Bob Hope Drive. The council will also confer with this labor negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.8 regarding the Rancho Mirage Employees Association. And finally, the Housing Authority Board will confer with legal counsel regarding potential exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9.
Thank you, Steve, and we'll now recess into closed session.